In studio now, we do have two gentlemen. That is Omar Pedizoli and José Aycart. I tried.
Close enough.
Did I get it right?
You did.
Yes, and José Aycart. And there's they are founders of Share Company. Good morning.
Good morning.
to you.
How are you doing?
Very good. How about you, Subuhi?
Nzuri sana.
Mzuri sana. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. We're gonna move closer to your mic.
Yeah. As you can see, it's our first radio
it's the first
appearance.
time. So definitely together.
So we need to figure out how to engage with mics. But is this close enough?
Okay, so you just move closer to it, and that's it.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Here
I'm
I
gonna
am.
be making out with a mic.
That's exactly what you're supposed to do.
That close, no?
Yes. I know that both of you are complaining about not having coffee, but this is how our mornings are. We try coffee in the morning at times, but then our energy levels tend to shoot. You can
That is
imagine.
true,
Show.
actually.
Yes.
Well, I would say Kenyans are more tea people on average. There's a lot of coffee that you guys make here, but most people are engaging with tea.
I was about to offer you guys tea.
Oh, you guys have tea?
We do have tea bags.
I would love.
It's a thing.
Now,
They exist.
the thing is, does the tea have caffeine?
No.
I'm good off the tea then.
Well, welcome to the show. Let's talk about. Let's start by telling us what Share is all about, and what inspired you to build company merging connectivity and blockchain.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll give an overview of what Share is about, and
Yes.
here my better half will give some of the background context. Share, we're on a mission to make internet accessibility available to all. Now, you probably hear this narrative from a lot of different providers, internet providers in the space, but usually the approach everyone has is they build their business in their entirety, and they're only to give affordable internet to their direct customers. At Share, we have quite a different approach that is much more further reaching, and it's going to impact a lot of people across Kenya and across Africa, because we support existing internet providers in really getting access to better internet, so that when you're listening right now, your ISP is likely going to become our customer, and we're going to be supporting their business and their economics so that they can give you better services at a much better rate. And what allows us to really even the boats and allow even the small local ISPs that are not the size of Safaricom to provide very competitive and very fast internet. And we're starting here in Mombasa for a number of reasons that we'll get into. And we're going to be across the country in the coming 12 to 20 months.
2026 for sure.
Yeah. Why Mombasa?
Mombasa is a very strategic place. Definitely the weather helped. For people that are from Europe, especially Italy in the south of Spain, good warm weather definitely attracts. But technically speaking, Mombasa is one of the most connected places in the world. There is actually 6 underwater sea cables that connect here. And practically, from a data center perspective, which are the buildings where all this capacity goes in, about 98% of all Eastern Africans' internet traffic goes through Mombasa. We all know that Mombasa is a major economy from the perspective of transportation, the port, but when you think of internet, you don't really get to think much about Mombasa. But the reality is that the internet, you could say, originates in Eastern Africa here through the Mombasa coast. So that's why Mombasa.
Okay, and how did the idea come about? I have Omar and I have Jose. How did you guys come together and decide, okay, we want to do this, we want to build Share?
I think it's more to mention it's 3 of us, actually.
Okay, 3.
So Jose and I have been best friends for 10. We
say
keep
10
changing.
years. We get a decade.
10
It sounds
years.
better.
We met in the first class of university. We're both, he's Spanish, I'm half Spanish. He has a younger brother that when we first met, he was my best friend's younger brother. But eventually the 3 of us became quite inseparable, 3 best friends. And I would mostly attribute the idea to this friendship that the 3 of us have. And that's the bond that I think has been able for us to build this very ambitious goal, because building a telco at the end of the day, it's not like building maybe an energy drink which by the way it's a very honorable mission as well, but it's intense. The requirements are very high. So I always like to start with the friendship, then the story. I think there's intersecting backgrounds.
There's many things. It's one of those things that it doesn't have a single reason. It doesn't have a single story. I think it's an accumulation of decisions, of choices that we get to make throughout time. But what where we, I guess, we find the commonality or the common thread as to why we got to build this company is because we believed it was possible. And to say that you just want to increase affordable internet across Africa seems like an impossible mission. I mean, 600 million people still remain unconnected of proper Wi-Fi connectivity in sub-Saharan Africa. And so what are three guys originally from Spain living in New York City have to do with it? At the end of the day, that's, I think, where technology comes into play.
Yeah.
We believe that we can be enablers as opposed to just creators and allow all of the incredible effort and investment that Kenya has, specifically Kenya, has made already for the past decade and coordinate it in a way where people can benefit the most.
Yeah.
People sometimes don't think about this, but when we say that Kenya is one of the most connected places in the world, it's true in terms of capacity of internet that comes in.
Yeah.
But if you measure it in terms of amount of that internet that gets into people's homes, it's very low. I think we're talking about a 6% of the population that has Wi-Fi at home.
Yeah, fixed internet is very low. And to give you guys an idea, the biggest subsea fiber cable in the world, for people that are not familiar, your internet, when you communicate, it moves through fiber cables across the oceans. That's how you send a message to somebody in China or somebody in the USA.
Yeah.
There's 6 of the largest subsea cables in the world land in Mombasa, land right here. So you would think...
So meaning we should be able to have access to internet.
That's the logic.
Not just access. It should be the best internet in the world. It should be
best,
absolutely impeccable.
Yeah.
To give some information, out of 100% of the capacity of internet that comes in every year, we only use 30% here. So 70% is not being used. Now, it's not as easy as just saying, okay, ramp it up and let's use 100%.
Yeah.
That's where our company comes in and as one of the enablers of trying to increase the usage of that capacity, but only 30% is. And it's not because we don't need more internet. I don't think I've ever met a Kenyan that says, I don't need faster internet at home.
Yeah.
And after living here for a year, we get to also understand why. So
Yeah. Okay, so I want to take you back to, how old are you in Kenya?
Oh, okay. That was a tricky question.
Or the company?
I'm 27 years old, but we are 1
No.
year old here in Kenya.
You revealed the secret.
I meant,
We've lost all mystique.
I didn't mean his age.
We're one. No, but we give you both. I'm 28.
See,
and
we're
the-
open,
and-
we're open.
and we're very open. And the company's actually 1 year old.
1 year
And
old.
and that's been 1 year of being in Kenya.
All right, so 1 year in Kenya, you've talked about ensuring there's internet connectivity in African countries. Is Kenya the first country that you're implementing this in?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. And what is it that has made it easier for you to do this in Kenya?
It hasn't. I think it's important.
So let's set the ground straight. It's very hard.
See,
I will say.
But I'll say number one,
Yes.
the language.
Oh,
Not
language
to be taken
barrier.
for granted, but I mean, no. The language is what has the commonality of most people being, not most people, virtually everyone here being an English speaker, a very
Yeah.
proficient English
Yes.
speaker.
Yeah.
For us, that's huge. You know, if we were to start in Tanzania, sisi naongea Kiswahili kidogo, so we cannot really do good business there
Yeah.
right away. We need to get the ball moving elsewhere. So Kenya the language was huge, and the reason we just gave you guys for the subsea cables,
Yeah.
that's a massive reason as
Yeah.
well.
Also
Okay.
the community. I think when we came here, we had an understanding that we wanted to come and build in Kenya, but it wasn't sure as to what extent Kenya was in fact the right market to be in. Underwater sea cables makes a lot of sense, but then I think it's also worth noting the culture, the people. I
Yeah.
think the fact that you are an absolute stranger to a culture
Yeah.
and everywhere you go, you get the word welcome, karibu, absolutely everywhere. I think at the end of the day, it does fulfill you a little bit more than maybe in a place where you're not welcomed.
Yeah.
That is attributed to the culture of
Yeah.
Kenya. I think the education of Kenya is incredibly well and proper, I would say. Like, it really aligns with what I consider to be a safe place,
Yeah.
and a welcoming place. And then in terms of regulation, I think that the government here, although, and I think I'm one of the people that critique governments the most, when things are done well, I think they need to be highlighted.
Yeah.
The communication authority in this country has really allowed for a lot of innovation to come, and it's very open. And I think that comes from years, even from, for example, the work that Mahmoud Noor, mentor, has done from that early stage. And today we'll speak more about it in Pond Innovation Week, but it does allow for people like us to have this crazy idea and be able to come here and do it.
Jose, you say it as strong, it hasn't. So what challenges have you faced in trying to implement this?
The fact that it's not happening for a reason,
Okay.
and the reason is money at the end of the day. The way that the internet industry has been built to date has been built upon business models that are very profitable for some, but they're not as efficient for the whole. And we basically wanting to change a business model, you need to prove two things. One, that it is a better outcome for everybody, but that it also makes money. And that in of itself is not an easy mission. Doing it in Africa is harder. From the perspective of building, I would say it's even much easier. I think that Africa is a perfect place to come build, to be honest. But from the outside world, when you think about receiving resources, and this is something that you always hear, but now we completely feel it, it's very difficult. I think there is a lot of skepticism from the outside world as to what Africa really is. And of course, we're biased because we're here in Kenya, in Nairobi and Mombasa. But it's a completely different story. It's black and white from what people think.
Okay.
Okay. I'll take you back to your history. Because we talk to so many youth using the radio. Your history, your friends, 3 of you for 10 years. My question is, for that youth who is listening to you right now, maybe he or she has friends. How did you come together for that 10 years or a decade ago and manifested what you have right now, which is built to what it is today in another country? For that youth in Mombasa listening to you, how can he or she come together with other youth and build something like that one you have?
I think we can give quite a large number of reasons, but the famous saying, your success is determined by who you surround yourself with, is very, very true. And I can also tell you this because, for example, the 3 of us, we've known each other for 10 years, but for those 10 years, we've each had our own little journey where we tried our own different things. We met when we were in Florida and Miami. I moved to Los Angeles. I wanted to work in the film industry. He moved to New York City with his family to finish college. It was a long journey, but what that makes you appreciate and realize is truly that your surroundings dictate your behavior at the end of the day. And when we look back at this journey, especially myself, the courage and the determination to follow your interests and the things that you dream about at night, and you know, the little thing that nags at you that you think it's possible, it's really worth it. And I know everyone has those friends that you get together and you're like, oh man, if we were to work together, we will be unstoppable. If that feeling is there, it's something. Even if you might be far off, meaning if you just have the ammunition and the willpower and an excuse to start and to feel a connection with someone, because there's so much strength in the unity we have between the 3 of us, you are already in a very advantageous situation. You have the most important part of the recipe. So for us, it's just follow those feelings, listen to those inner voices, because that's the talent, that's the fortune. And I think that's what we've always shared, and we went on different routes, and then we failed in our respective different routes, which is, by the way, it's completely part of the process. Failing and failing over and over again, because you learn. And then we go, hey, let's give it another shot, but let's do it together this time. And it's been the best attempt so far.
Completely.
I like that. Also, you often describe Share as decentralized, community-driven connectivity network. What does that mean in practical terms?
That's a great question, because I feel that the word decentralization gets to be thrown around a lot. But the best way to put it is next to the word of community. I feel like when you speak of a community, usually you don't get to speak about a leader that chooses. You get to speak about the choices of a group of people that think of what everything is best for them. Therefore, they take action into improving that environment. Decentralization for us is a form of doing the same, but with economic industry, in this case of internet. We believe that there's a lot of players, not one that should be the one that takes the whole market. And in the process of doing so, we can find efficiencies. And I think that this is very true when you think of, I think everybody understands what a fiber cable is. Like we all see fiber cables around. Some of these technologies are so powerful that there's no need to have 4 fiber cables in the same street, but there are, and I think that is also the beauty of having freedom of companies building their infrastructure.
Yeah.
The name share comes for a reason. We want to apply this decentralization concept by allowing people to put a little bit of their infrastructure for the benefit of the whole. And that is a way of decentralizing that ownership and control, that it's not fully owned by us. Actually, the whole purpose is that we own very little of this, and that the local community, the local industry, in this case Kenyans, get to own the shared network in Kenya. And when we go to Tanzania, it will be the same thing, but with Tanzanians. And when we go to Congo, it will be the same thing, but in Congo. And I think that is the way in which we think companies in every industry should get to build for the future.
All right. And why is decentralization such a powerful idea for solving Africa's connectivity challenges?
Because decentralization sounds very grandiose, and we also don't want it to get confused with the concept of being charitable. It's impactful, but it's not. The key difference is that in decentralization, you find actual economic incentives for all participants to actually care. I think often in Africa, it's something we've always observed from afar and found it a little interesting, which is there's a lot of charitable initiatives, but intrinsically, when you do something charitable, there's so much bureaucracy and it moves so slow, and people need internet yesterday. So we kind of don't want to be naive and say, let's create a model where everyone has a seat at the table and everyone is actually can make a living, and there's not value being given for free, and there's no value being extracted from the market for free. So the decentralization, really the best way to think about it is we really share the table with everyone, because our game is not to own a big slice of a small pie. It's to own a very, very small slice of all of Africa and share it with the local entrepreneurs and local networks. So decentralization in the simplest form is that. And that's powered by technology nowadays, but that's what it means to us.
All right. And Omar, you bring together fiber, wireless, and blockchain technology. How do these systems work together to expand access and reliability?
He just asked you.
How do they work?
Okay, you can jump in.
Yeah. So how does blockchain, fiber, and wireless work together to bring connectivity?
Yes.
I think the best way to think about it is fiber or wireless are simply vehicles to get to some place. To some places you have to get an airplane. To some places you can get your bicycle. It's the same concept. Wireless, which is your cellular, works very well for some type of distances. And it depends on what frequency you move the wireless without getting too technical. Fiber, you can go on across oceans, and it's incredibly fast. What moves inside of fiber is light. That's why the internet is so fast. It moves at the speed of light. So for us, that's merely a vehicle. We choose how to bring connectivity to a place based on the needs. How far is it? What's the weather like? What blockchain does is it actually is the technology that powers this thought that I just shared about giving everyone a seat at the table. And really removing the aspect of, you need to trust me that we will compensate you. You need to trust me that you will get rewarded for your contribution. What blockchain allows is it allows us to come to an agreement as business owners and as businesses, put these agreements on blockchain, which are these uneditable, super safe storage systems, data systems, that once you put the contract in there, it is going to get executed, no matter if I don't feel like it or if you don't feel like it that day. And so it ensures consistency and equality. The cool thing about blockchains is it treats everyone the same. Even if I made the blockchain myself, it'll treat you the same way. So the blockchain is what allows all participants in our ecosystem, whether they do fiber or wireless, to get compensated accordingly.
Okay. And when we're looking at Africa still faces high data costs, right? And also limited internet coverage, which we've talked about in rural areas. What, in your view, again, are the biggest barriers to affordable connectivity in Africa?
I think I don't want to sound too simple, but coordination. The willingness of companies that currently sell internet to give you more capacity. The cost of internet is going down exponentially. Actually, it's almost like an inverse exponential function or logarithmic function that it's practically going to zero. If you look at the cost of internet across the globe in any territory, the moment that internet arrives is very expensive, and it literally starts going towards zero. There should be apparent no reason for somebody that has fiber connectivity at the house to not have a lot more Mbps in their home. And the primary reason as to why that happens is because there is a lack of trust in all the intermediaries that allow internet to get to your home.
Mm-hmm.
So from the underwater sea cables to the data centers to the fiber loops to the wireless antennas to the people that put the remote in your home, there's a lot of people there.
Yeah.
And they charge each other. They have paper contracts with each other. They put prices in negotiations. Sometimes they give you a better price or a worse price if I don't get to know you. And we're trying to just scratch all of that and kind of show the negotiation that happens, or in this case, show the supply chain from the beginning to end, so that everybody can be aware that you're charging 50% more than you should not. And that makes this next person charge 50% more or another 50%. So that's 100%.
Yeah.
And what people don't get to realize, or I guess they do, but they don't care, is that whoever pays for this is people at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like whoever pays for the internet bill is people at their home.
Yeah.
And that is people's salary. And Sub-Saharan Africa has another statistic. Actually, when people ask us as to why we came here, we should start saying statistics, because it is true that if you're sitting in New York and you're looking in the internet, there's no match. I mean, you can look for images, but they won't tell you a vibe as to what Africa is. Statistics cannot do. And one of the statistics that made us reason why we should be here is that even though there is a massive amount of internet that is not being used, the Sub-Saharan African, on average, spends 30% of their monthly income on connectivity. And 30% is an absurd. That's 30% is 1/3 of everything that you earn goes to connect.
Yeah.
And that's something that we should clearly change and should be changed. So
a simple analogy of what's happening in the internet space is, imagine you're in a village with 20 people and the village only has 5 liters of water for everyone. Of course, at first, that water is so expensive.
Yeah.
And that's when the internet first came here. There was one cable or one satellite and it was so expensive. But imagine now there's 150 liters and there's still only 20 people for the most part. And the guy selling you the water is still charging you the same price as when they had 20 liters.
And he tells you that he only has 5. He has 150, but he tells you that he only has 5.
Yeah.
That's exactly what's happening in the internet space across a lot of parts in Africa. So we're here to disrupt that. And what's the cool thing about this, that once we do, people will follow.
All right.
And we're very happy if they follow, because that means there's cheaper internet for everyone.
Now, Ricky, because my next question is, how does the share model make it easier for communities to own or manage their own internet infrastructure?
And there's one very easy to not go into very technical ones, because the model at the end of the day is going to be shown to everybody as we get to appear in different communities.
Yeah.
But the easiest way to think about it, I was going to say this when you ask about decentralization, it's how easy it is for us to grow in places we don't know. And that is because we are not the ones that connect you to the internet.
Yeah.
The local networks, like Omar was mentioning, or people that already are selling internet and are licensed, they have the ability to be able to go and provide internet to people. And there's no one better that knows a local community in Africa than somebody from that community. And so how we're basically approaching this through everything that we've been mentioning and technology is basically by partnering with people that know their local areas, know their neighbors, and are the ones that actually provide both the trust and the necessary tools for you to connect to the internet.
Yeah.
So we don't have basically to do that from being foreigners to come and have to do that, which is why we think it hasn't worked in Africa yet.
Exactly. And you've mentioned partners. What partners are you working with? Again, because, I mean, you're in a new country, in a new city. Who are you working with to help implement your idea and the share, around share?
Well, one thing that's very evident is the telco space is a regulated space. And like we talked about, we've been very happy with the regulators in Kenya.
Yeah.
We work closely with the Communications Authority. We work with Kenya Power, where we put some of our infrastructure on. And then we have a number of local partners, of course, and companies that we use to, rent infrastructure, do some projects together. And with the subsea cable operators, and that kind of gives you the ecosystem where we get the internet, who gives the permission to deploy the internet in the country, and the partners who are local companies at the end of the day that give us either the labor or the infrastructure to rent.
Yeah.
Then community, I think. We're also building this through community. The reason why we're here today on the radio station, we actually got to meet Mahmoud Noor, or Mentor, as most of you guys know him, what was it,
Mentor.
8 months ago?
Through a crazy coincidence, by the way. We were in Nairobi. Has anyone seen? He was like Kaiser Soza in The Usual Suspects. I don't know if anyone knows the analogy, but we were in Nairobi and we're like speaking to people in Nairobi, we're thinking of starting a telco, starting off in Mombasa. And everyone should say, you should be Mentor. And we're like, okay,
We have to meet this
By the way,
mentor guy.
I
Who
feel like
is
it was
this guy?
people who didn't know who mentor was necessarily.
Yeah,
They didn't know him personally. We moved to Mombasa,
Yeah.
and 2 or 3 more people say, you have to meet mentor.
Oh.
And we move into the new house, and our downstairs neighbor says, you have to be mentor. And maybe that is maybe the 6th time that this happens. So we're like, okay, introduce me to mentor, please. and we meet mentor in what is now our office, actually.
Yes.
A place that we've now taken over as our office. And it's funny because I was with Luis, who's a third co-founder, who right now, by the way, he runs the New York Marathon on Sunday. Good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck.
But we walk into the room, and before the mentor speaks, I drop 3 things that he's done because I had heard so much about him, so I had looked him up. CCOM, Swahili Pod, and the first thing he knows is, you know so much about me already. I was like, yeah, you've been hyped up, yeah. Yeah, so
that's actually very good. Yeah, and with that relationship now with mentor, and of course now with the networks that he's built, has that made anything easier for you?
Yeah, it has attracted community. Like
okay.
Today, for example, at 12 p.m., we have a panel where we're going to be speaking a little bit about this, but less us speaking and more us questioning, which is going to be quite interesting, being the outsiders. And we're going to have a couple of experts, out of which one of them is going to be mentor. And the idea of that panel is basically to explore a little bit deeper the ways in which community, or in this case, even themselves, because some of them have actually worked now for a couple of decades in the internet space. How is it that we can actually do this together? And Swahili Pod, for example, as a whole, I think for us it's been very much motivational from the youth perspective in the amount of things that they do, the amount of willingness that there is. We actually got to host quasi festival, but it actually more than a festival, was a conference, called the Deepen Innovation Week. And basically Deepen is this notion of decentralization within blockchain, and we had, I think, close to 400 people that came to Swahili Pod and were able to also get in touch with I would say our part of the world, and that's only thanks to Swahili Pod.
All right then. What does the future of Share look like in the next 5 years, and what impact do you hope to see across Africa? Start with the first one.
Yeah, I think in the next 5 years we're really aiming to be one of the largest internet providers across East Africa.
Yeah.
And what we really hope to have done on an impact level is to really drive down the price of connectivity, but most importantly, increase the number of people that are connected. I think when we're talking about a market where so many people are still offline, and in today's day and age, it's food, shelter, electricity, then it's internet. If you're not connected, you're not really exposed to the international economy. Even now that so many financial systems are just moving digital, the ability to learn. So we really want to make sure that that's a driving factor for us, making sure, we call it internally, bringing capacity to the edge, but that even the most remote of areas have very reliable and fast internet. And that's going to happen very fast via our model, because we're really going to push the ecosystem to go with us.
And then now, what impact do you hope to see across Africa?
We're going to try to measure it, but I think you can't. So one of the ones that we like to think about a lot is the perspective of freedom, which is very hard to quantify. But this idea that you will be able to choose your financial situation, your financial institutions or resources, that you're going to be able to learn, access knowledge, and be able to choose what access of knowledge you want to get. And that's basically how we got to live our life. Thankfully, we did have access to the internet, and we had proper education that taught us how to basically take advantage of that. If we bring more connectivity to people, and out of the 600 million people, say that we bring 1 million more people connected to the internet, we just hope that we give them that freedom to do what they think is best for themselves, for their communities, for the economy. And for us, a big way of that is having Africa be more connected with the rest of the world, which right now, if you get into any social media, especially those that don't even have pictures like Instagram, think of like Twitter, you could be from the middle of Congo and you're talking to somebody in New York City and you speak English and they don't know. And I think that is a valuable premise as to what you can build in the internet or with your knowledge. So.
I think you said something actually that rang true to me, which is you can really measure, I think, the impact. And that's, I think, what's so cool about what we're building, which is if in a couple of years, a kid learns to produce music on YouTube and downloads Logic or Pro Tools on YouTube and puts out a song that goes trending, it's maybe it's the internet infrastructure we put out.
Yeah.
No one will ever think that it was because of us, and we wouldn't think that so either. But we did. That foundation was
That's
there,
true.
provided by
Yeah.
the connectivity.
Yeah.
So it's that unmeasurable. It's like it's just leveling the playing field. So it's
Okay. And now, finally, what message would you leave? Would you like to leave to young innovators and entrepreneurs here at Point Innovation Week? I know you're going there. I know you have a session. What message would you leave to a young person who's thinking about who wants to build technology and transform community?
I have one off the top of my head that I always go with.
Go ahead.
The most informative action is doing.
I like that.
Do not spend too much time thinking about it. Your first attempt, it's not perfect.
Yeah.
You are going to learn the most by doing it. Quick nugget, we really didn't know that much about connectivity when we first started. The business wasn't even what it is today. It was a different idea, but we just committed to it, said, let's go and do this. And you put yourself against the corner. You're like, oh shit, I need to figure it out. And that's where you're forced to learn. That's where you're forced to come up with a new idea. So put yourself in the situation, because that is the best way of learning and becoming ideally a master at one day.
Yeah.
So yeah, just do. I think.
Just do.
What I would say is what makes people most of the time not do is not believing that it's possible. So it is possible.
Yeah.
And we say that because, regardless of what we had, what we did not have, I can say that we didn't have much.
Yeah.
But I didn't, and when I say this, I mean the three of us. But we did have a lot at the same time. And a lot of what we had wasn't money, but it was a lot of willingness. It was a lot of motivation. It was a lot of trust. It was a lot of belief in the fact that it is possible. Kenya right now, like, we came to build here. That should say a lot to people that are here, youth that is here. It's not so much about leaving.
Yeah.
Like, we left where you maybe think that you need to go. And that is important to be aware of, because, I don't know, thinking from the perspective of legislation with what happened with blockchain, Kenya is becoming one of the forefronts of innovation in the whole of Africa. When you think of connectivity, of course we're biased, but it will become, and it's becoming, one of the forefronts of connectivity in the world. So do here, like, you have it here. So it's just like Omar said, get to it and feel that it's possible, because it is.
I like that. Do it here. We've been speaking to Omar Pedizzoli and José Aycart, and they are the co-founders. I got it. And they're the co-founders of Share. You know what? If you want to interact with them, I keep on saying it. Grab yourself a ticket at ponyinnovationweek.com. A lot is happening. Started on Monday, 27th, going on all the way to the 31st of October. Yes. That's Friday. There's a lot happening. Connect, network, get to know how you can fit in. We'll be right back. Good morning.